Welcome to Spiritual Astrology. I'm your host, Allison Taylor-Moseley. Thank you for joining me. Today, we will be exploring the astrological energies, transits, and spiritual themes for the week of July 22nd to July 29th. This week, not only do we have the nodes of fate changing to Aquarius and Leo, but there's also a powerful full moon in Aquarius, and she's conjunct Pluto, and they're both opposite Sun and Jupiter at 6 degrees Leo. So there's a lot of powerful energies and changes at play and behind the scenes and in the public eye. This week marks a turning point in the year where things accelerate and develop more. So the South Node will be leaving the grounded, practical Earth energy of Virgo, and the North Node will leave the intuitive, spiritual, compassionate water energy of Pisces. And so that's less water and earth in the sky, more fire and air. And so that's a pretty major energetic shift that happens this week. Also, the Sun makes 6 aspects this week: Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Jupiter, and in opposition to the moon for the full moon in Aquarius. Now, the Sun is the ruler of your Leo house, and Leo season started Wednesday, January 22nd. So big Leo themes coming through this week and Aquarius themes as well. Everything this week is leading up to the full moon in Aquarius on July 29. And the first aspect coming up this week is Sun square Chiron on July 23rd. So locate 0 degrees Leo and 0 degrees Taurus in your chart. This is where the Sun is shining a light on how you're healing those Taurus themes, like your relationship to spending, possessions, leisure, pleasure, what happiness, peace, and satisfaction look like for you. What do you want out of life? What brings you a sense of peace and stability? And do those things align? So that Chiron and Taurus is healing more than just the financial parts of our world and yourself, but a big Taurus theme is the self-care aspect. How are you nourishing yourself? How do you support your physical body? These are things that Chiron and Taurus is going to help you heal. So with Taurus, it's about healing the financial parts, supporting and nourishing yourself financially, but then also supporting and nourishing yourself physically. So do you have any physical ailments that need attention? The Sun shines a light on that, especially ailments that can be solved with simple natural remedies, because Chiron and Taurus is going to bring back older remedies, medicines and practices that were maybe forgotten, more homeopathic, holistic solutions and remedies. And that Chiron will square Pluto 5 times between 2028 and 2030. And that's going to unearth more of what Chiron is healing. So this week, the Sun shines a light on the themes around money, our physical body, how we're keeping our body strong, how we can support ourselves and build self-reliance and self-assurance. Because that Sun in Leo is very confident, very self-expressive and warm and passionate. But when it connects with Chiron, it can bring up an insecurity, especially in a square, or a vulnerability, maybe around being seen or with expressing yourself in your full light. Chiron and Taurus brings in more ways to build up confidence, more ways to become self-reliant and steadier and stronger. And that could be by establishing and upholding better boundaries, because Taurus is about strong boundaries. So how self-reliant are you? Where do you need to become more self-reliant? Where is Taurus in your chart? What are you building? Taurus is a builder. Do you have boundaries that actually work for you? Boundaries are often rooted in your sense of self-worth. So this can be a place for you to evaluate if you're staying true to your word around what you will and will not allow in your life, from others, from yourself, boundaries with money, family, wherever you need more stability or wherever you need stronger boundaries. So Leo also is a very creative sign because it's ruled by the sun, and then Taurus is ruled by Venus, and that brings in balance and harmony. So you could tap into creative inspiration with Sun square Chiron. Be aware that it might first show up as a painful hit to your ego or make you feel vulnerable, but that energy is there. And the sun is connected to your sense of vitality. So pay attention to your body and how it feels, and if any messages come through there. You could feel weaker today, but Leo is strong and so is Taurus, and it just feels more enlightening than painful because the energy isn't heavy or negative. It's very uplifting and supportive. So you might be able to see the signs of where you can improve things, like in your relationships and in your finances. Now, that same day the sun squares Chiron, Mercury will station direct at 16 degrees, 18 minutes Cancer. And this is when solutions to problems begin showing up. If there were delays, now things start moving along. It's like a green light. And Mercury will go back over those same degrees for a third and final time of 16 degrees Cancer to 26 degrees Cancer. As she's stationing direct, she starts forming a sextile to Venus at 16 degrees Virgo. And that goes exact the following day on July 24th. Mercury sextiles Venus, so locate 16 degrees Cancer and Virgo in your chart. Mercury is moving slowly because she just turned direct the day before. So maybe this is a blessing so that you can slow down and enjoy something, because when Mercury sextiles Venus, it can be fun. It can be social. It can be pleasant. It encourages harmonious interactions. They can be very satisfying and easy. People are on the same page, and it's easier to find pleasure on July 24th. It's also when solutions might come through to support the changes that Mercury faced during her retrograde. Venus is focused on those details and wants to make things run smooth, and Mercury in Cancer brings in the kind, caring communication that Venus appreciates. So Venus wants to be of service, and that's supportive to Mercury. Venus is focused on her work. So Mercury in Cancer might show Venus something that helps her with a work-related matter. Basically, you find more inspiration today. It's easier to complete things, be more productive, especially with home or work. You can get a lot done. There can be self-improvement, a health-related matter. Pay attention to those house topics, Cancer and Virgo. So that's Mercury sextile Venus on the 24th. Then the following day on the 25th, Neptune will sextile Pluto at 4 degrees, 20 minutes Aries and Aquarius. And this is the exact sextile to Pluto that we've been waiting for. Brings in that bigger dream and puts power, determination behind what you're creating and insight into what is transforming and manifesting in your life or behind the scenes. That Aquarius Aries area of your life is expanding and transforming in new ways, and that Pluto wants to take you further, bring in profound growth, death and rebirth, and that's through 2044. So she's going to be there a while. She demands authenticity in Aquarius, and anything performative or false is not going to work. And this is going to force you to face your fears and step into more of your power. Pluto's going to help you access your intuition, your psychic gifts, and that Neptune in Aries wants to take you higher, encourage you to be brave, chase new things, take a risk. So pay attention to the themes of Aquarius Aries house. It supports innovative thought, breakthroughs. There can be clairvoyance this week. It's like a nudge from your future self. The little messages, embrace them, tap into a higher purpose behind what you're doing that can accelerate you. This is where dynamic changes are taking place. And it supports a new direction. And it doesn't mean every single person's going to experience a huge breakthrough this week. For one, astrology is about planting seeds. So if you don't see something pop off this week, I mean, it will in the coming weeks and months as things transpire and blossom and develop into a bigger picture that's going into 2029. We're at the beginning of this development. And also, even though everyone on Earth is experiencing these same astrological energies, everyone is on a different journey and operating at different levels of consciousness and with different perspective and a different birth chart. So you're going to see things play out faster for some people, slower for others. Not everyone will be accelerating at the same speed or in the same direction. So that's July 25th when Neptune sextiles Pluto. And the next day, July 26th, the nodes change signs. The North Node of Destiny enters Aquarius, South Node enters Leo. What is this about? Because they are not planets, they are points. And what this basically represents in a nutshell is a global shift towards the Aquarius themes, and then a global shift away from the lower expressions of Leo. And then in your own chart, your natal South Node is the qualities, traits, skills, and gifts that you inherited from a previous lifetime. It's what you came into this world with and what you're here to use to your advantage. And then the North Node, your natal North Node in your chart, is associated with your destiny, the direction of your life, how you're here to grow into qualities and skills that you can use. And this nodal change is going to activate dynamic changes in your Aquarius and Leo houses in your birth chart. It's an 18-month transit, and it lasts until March 26, 2028. Now, in a transit chart, like in the sky, the North and South Node represent a collective shift. So everyone will feel it. Your Aquarius and Leo house is going to go through change. It's going to go through endings, unexpected shifts that redirect you to stay on your path, because they're going to get activated at the eclipses coming up. So if there are no planets in your Leo and Aquarius house, those houses will still experience change in a new direction. If you have Leo or Aquarius planets or points in your chart, those planets get activated and you'll experience marked change in that area of life, those houses, but also around that planet's energy in your life. If your North Node is in Leo, like your natal North Node, then this is your nodal opposition. A nodal opposition is like a checking in point. The nodal return was 9 years ago. This is the halfway point. Where are you in your destiny, in your path around these house themes? And are you on path and pushing yourself to step outside your comfort zone, or are you playing it safe? Now, if your North Node is in Aquarius in your birth chart, then that signals your nodal return. And this is the beginning of a new cycle around your destiny and your path forward. And you can reflect on how far you've come since the last return, which was 19 years ago, depending on how old you are. So this represents a time when you get a call to make a drastic change in your life if you're not on path. And because Aquarius is a fixed air sign, this is going to encourage all of us to increase our communication, but on a mass level. So this can be a birth of new communities, new social media platforms, new networks, new groups. You can find more like-minded people who share the same goals or dreams, or they align with your vision right now. Aquarius is associated with your future self, a new direction, something progressive and original that is linked to a bigger cause or helps people. It might involve changing or improving things on a large scale, especially the disenfranchised. And it reflects the changing culture and society and how people interact with the group. So how is your life transforming? And how have you changed? And what does that mean about how you're showing up in the world, with your friends, with your colleagues, in your personal relationships? How's your life changing? Because Aquarius wants you to step into more of your authenticity and the power that comes with that and operate from a higher frequency. So you're going to start to see people's true colors. That South Node in Leo activates fixed fire, encouraging you to follow what's personal to you, like what you want to creatively express, what lights you up, and what makes you shine, and what makes you feel admired and respected. But the South Node is where we lose energy and where we're stepping away from something that's no longer working. It's where the energy no longer fits. So if you're reinventing yourself, or you've recently had an ego death or a spiritual awakening, Leo's the ego, the human ego. So what part of your old ego are you letting go of that's no longer resonating with the new you? The one thing about that Leo Aquarius axis is that they have a certain level of commonality that they share. They're both about fame and visibility. They're about friendships and networks, how you shine and what makes you an individual. That Leo Aquarius axis is highlighting your creative talent and your abilities. And you may experience a battle between your personal identity and the collective purpose. So on the same day that the nodes change signs, Saturn goes retrograde. This is July 26th. And you're going to locate 15 degrees, 45 minutes Aries in your chart. Saturn's come a long way since February 13, when she first entered Aries for a 2.5-year stay. She conjunct Neptune, and that was the beginning of a new era, planted a new seed, and since then, Saturn's been working to make that dream a reality. She's been working with Neptune to go higher, encouraging you to use your intuitive skills. She's been working with Pluto and Uranus to make it authentic, to make it align with your future so it lasts. And then this retrograde is an opportunity for you to now refine your long-term goals and your plans and look at what's not working, what is taking a lot of time and giving you no return on your investment. Is the plan still realistic, or has new information come in that requires you to pivot? Saturn is learning to be patient in Aries and reminds us that building something strong takes time. You have to do it brick by brick. It needs solid footing so it works long term. And Aries likes to skip steps or take shortcuts. So Saturn going retrograde can be very positive. Embrace it, because it's an opportunity to identify problems in your plan, bottlenecks. I always find that it puts my goal creation on hold, and it forces me to deal with what's happening now and what I have been developing. So it's less about, you don't want to start new goals during this time. It's more about refining your goals, repositioning, pivoting, reevaluating the timeline, the people involved. Is it still resonating? Because December 10, she stations direct at 8 degrees Aries and travels over those same degrees for a third and final time. So take a look in your chart. she goes from 15 degrees Aries to 8 degrees Aries, a total of 3 times. So what story is developing in your Aries house? Once she goes direct, by March 23rd of next year, she reaches 15 degrees 45 minutes. That's her starting point. Now the Saturn retrograde is fully complete and she's in new territory. So if you have any plants or points between 8 and 15 degrees Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, you will experience a challenge, an obstacle, or you might be required to take on a bigger responsibility, more authority, might bring in some heaviness. If you have planets or points between 8 and 15 degrees Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius, or Aquarius, then Saturn will make a favorable sextile or trine to that planet. And that can be assistance from an elder, an authority figure. It can signify progress or hard work that comes easily. It can signify more stability or success or an achievement. Saturn retrograde is going to make sure our plan is rooted in reality, make sure we get to the finish line, and by the end of the year, when she's direct, we'll be ready to take on new goals. So the day after Saturn goes retrograde, the Sun will oppose Pluto, trine Neptune, and sextile Uranus. That's July 27. Locate 4 degrees Leo in Aquarius. This is where Sun opposes Pluto. This is where you're going to have a power struggle or an internal battle inside yourself around your confidence or your strength or your will, your ability to get something done. You might see on a bigger scale communities overpowering leaders, countries changing leadership dynamics, but in a healthy exchange. The Sun stays in her power. She doesn't allow fear to create insecurities because that Pluto can bring destruction and change and endings and transformation, and that can be very triggering. And you can feel overpowered by an outside force. It could be your health or pressure that's been put on you for some reason, something you can't keep up with. You could also receive powerful insight into how the world's changing. And what is your place in it? Can you keep up? How will you do that? And there could be fears around that. There could be a part of you who wants to put yourself out there, but that can bring out a lot of fears for most people. Because being on social media isn't safe. It's not authentic. It's not practical or easy. It's time consuming. And it often has little to no return on your investment. And those are real concerns. That Sun in Leo can be a mask we wear, but Pluto in Aquarius is demanding authenticity. So there can be fears this week, some triggering emotions. Beware of your own power and make a conscious note of what's triggering you. Observe yourself and remember to remain in your power and not get pulled into people's orbs. So the best way to approach it is make sure that your will and what you're striving for is in alignment with your higher self, higher frequencies. And this can bring up beliefs about your own power and lead to greater self-awareness, especially when you don't limit yourself. On the same day, that's Sun opposite Pluto, but then there's Sun trine Pluto. And that's where Jupiter was last week, 4 degrees Leo. Now the Sun is there. Connecting with the outer planets, tapping into a trine with Neptune is more messages about what to let go of. It supports your spiritual growth, how you're reinventing yourself, your talents, how you're here to shine, new things you're chasing, how you want to express new leadership abilities, how you want to show up as a leader somewhere in your life. That Aries, Leo, very passionate fire signs. So this is a spark. But Neptune is a spiritual message. It's about letting go, compassion. And that South Node is with the Sun in Leo. So there's something pointing to letting go so that you can shine. Because that's what the Sun's all about, especially in Leo. And then that sextile to Uranus that the Sun makes. Also 4 degrees Leo, 4 degrees Gemini. That's tapping into your higher self. What you're here to create. more of your natural talent, and a bigger vision that you might want to pursue. She inspires you to break free this week from anything holding you back from expressing yourself in your own unique way. And that can help with insecurities that come up this week. And it can also give you a spark. So expect to receive downloads, messages, enlightenment, a rise in your consciousness, and others as well. Expect to see this in others. Now, of course, not everyone will experience it, but those that are on the spiritual path and open to messages, they will. The ones who are leaning into fear can miss things. You should be leaning into intentionally creating your next future and not being pulled into the orb of what is happening in the world that is scary. And this week, you might be called to follow a new vision, a new path, especially if you stay open and optimistic. So this could show up like meeting new people, new friend group, finding a new platform to share your ideas, coming up with new ideas, and you have to get them on paper, brainstorming, but it's about action and movement. It's social, it's expressive, it's progressive, it's powerful, and you might feel a strong urge that's kind of overwhelming. And it's exciting, and it'll add excitement to this week. And then 2 days after Sun makes those connections to Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, there's a full moon. July 29, Sun conjuncts Jupiter at 6 degrees Leo. There's a full moon in Aquarius. So you're going to locate 6 degrees Aquarius and Leo in your chart. The Sun and Jupiter are together in a conjunction in Leo. It's very uplifting. It brings good luck, growth, wealth, opportunity, attention, gifts, joy, pleasure, expands all areas of life. Sun conjunct Jupiter is a beautiful, lucky, probably one of the luckiest transits. So something is culminating around those Aquarius themes. Something you're letting go of in the Leo house. Full moons are about letting go. South Node in Leo is encouraging us to let go. And this chart is about inspired action, going for it, being bold. That Mars in Gemini wants to move, get things going. Mercury's no longer retrograde. She's ready to go, even if she's not at full speed. So locate 6 degrees Aquarius and Leo in your chart. That axis is being activated by Moon opposite Sun, Jupiter opposite Pluto, and the nodal change. A lot happening with the Aquarius-Leo axis. Also, Venus is square Mars at the full moon. With all these other planetary things going on, that's happening. That's at 21 degrees Virgo is where Venus is. And Mars is 21 Gemini. People aren't on the same page when Venus is square Mars. And it directly relates to either a spending or money matter, a disagreement about a personal matter, love, relationships, something related to the past, attraction, sexual chemistry, those relationship dynamics that come up. Venus in Virgo is critical, wants to take care of work, responsibilities. Mars in Gemini wants to be busy, is taking on a lot, maybe too much, a little scattered. Venus could have like a health matter or work matter that needs to be done, and there's just this clash that comes up at the full moon, or maybe a disagreement. The ruler of the full moon is Saturn retrograde at 14 degrees Aries. And Saturn is ruled by Mars. So Mars and Venus in a square means Saturn might experience some friction or disappointment, a delay, or she has to be the responsible, mature one. She might be called to look at her goals, her plans, make changes. There could be people you need to cut out, and that could bring up friction in your relationships. Disagreements about the plan could cause a split. Venus, who's in that square to Mars, rules Chiron and Taurus, who's sensitive. And Chiron often deals with our relationships due to its connection to our wounds and insecurities. So there can be relationship friction. And the full moon is emphasizing the long-term goal and the plan, so it could be about that, the vision, the inspiration. Maybe something is ending and there's friction there. Also, going exact at the full moon, that Sun conjunct Jupiter, it's opposite the full moon at 6 degrees and Pluto at 4 degrees Aquarius. So that full moon has a lot of interesting dynamics because Sun opposite moon creates tension between who you are and what you need, something that's culminated, ready for release. Then that Jupiter opposite Pluto in Libra, that Jupiter in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius creates tension between what you believe and what others believe. So we're going to see events play out on the world stage, leaders versus people, haves versus have-nots. The gap between rich and poor is more visible when Jupiter opposes Leo. That creates tension. Venus square Mars, tension in your relationships, money, attraction, what you want might be out of reach, harder to find satisfaction. And then the Pluto opposite Sun is a power struggle, a temporary feeling of inadequacy or an ego crisis or a lack of confidence. But it's here to help you transform. Those Leo energies want to shine, but Aquarius needs to step back from the ego, do what's best for the group, and find a place where they can showcase their talents while also operating from a higher vibration. And not everyone will be able to sustain that, and there will be people who fall from grace, people who were leaders, and that Pluto energy exposes the truth. So Sun and Jupiter conjunct. Sun is consciousness. Jupiter is expansion. This is planting a seed that's going to grow over the next 12 years in your Leo house that's going to expand your consciousness. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. And if you have planets or points between 5 and 7 of any sign, you're going to tap into this energy on some level. And it's very positive. So this week, risk pays off. This is a week you want visibility, to shine, look at your talents, what you want to express, what's calling your name. There can be fears there around that. But if you've already been working towards these things, this week can be about developments and movement. It does mean you might be redoing things. Saturn is retrograde this week. Mercury stationing. She's slower. It feels like all these fast-moving energies. There's also a slowdown that could be possible, or a pause with Mercury stationing and Saturn stationing. And Venus square Mars, we're not getting what we want. Sun square Pluto, you could feel stuck, trapped, fearful. Lots of different emotions. So there might be this need to pause. And those who are on a spiritual path, they know that it's an independent path. You have to walk it alone. It can feel lonely. Those breakthroughs and downloads, they're so exhilarating and delightful, but the work is often pretty humble and tedious and serious. But there can be something this week you have to let go of, a part of yourself that you really liked, maybe an activity you enjoyed, a job you loved, a lifestyle you enjoyed, but now it's not the same. And if change is happening and it's not by choice, then it can feel like a death, especially if those things that are ending provided you with comfort and support. And if you've had a spiritual awakening, or you've gone on a healing journey, or you've been moving through something transformative, or something's ended, those old parts of yourself just don't fit with what you want to achieve next, with where you're going. But that's okay to let them go, because the thing is, there's something waiting for you that is so much better than what you could have imagined, more satisfying, more magical, more exciting than what you could dream up for yourself. Sometimes we limit ourselves with our desire to control the way things unfold, but too much control will cause you to miss the beautiful gifts that the universe has for you. So carry that with you when you feel a lack of control this week, or when you feel triggered, or if there's loss or disappointment or big feelings, and know that something better is on the other side. And to have greater trust in the universe and yourself and your choices and what's right for you, and learn to follow your heart and what's truly authentic. And that's where you'll find the satisfaction that you crave. And this week is also filled with a lot of beautiful moments and surprises. So I'm very curious how it works out for you. I hope this resonates and that it prepares you for the week ahead. So take care and talk soon.